Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool looking nature scene. Now, I just want to start this video off by saying this tutorial may not be beginner friendly. I'm not exactly sure what you guys classify as a beginner, but just someone who just started out might have trouble following this tutorial. So, if you are just starting off and you do want to follow this tutorial, and if you have any problems, then just leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them. But hopefully, that doesn't happen. So, I just want to start off by saying, this tutorial, the way I'm doing it is not free. I'm using CG Geek's Realistic Nature Pack, which is $10 on the Blender market. It's not that much, but if you don't want to buy it, you can always create your own nature assets. They're really easy, and there's tons of tutorials on YouTube to create your own nature assets. And they're really easy to do, but for the sake of simplicity and for having more models than I would create, I'm just going to be using his pack. I'll link it in the description below if you do want to buy it. It's a really cool pack. It's really good for the price. So let's get right into this. So, first thing we're going to do is delete our default cube and Shift A and add a plane. I'm just going to scale it up a little bit, maybe about there. Yeah, about there. And then I'm going to hit tab and go into edit mode, right click and go right here to subdivide. And then on this little menu down here, I'm going to number of cuts, I'm going to turn it up to 80. So we have this like cool, we have enough vertices to paint later. So oops, I hit my mic. Once you have that, I apologize. My throat is it's messed up today, so I'm going to be coughing. So once we have this, what we're going to do is we can tab out edit mode, and also I'm going to delete this light. I'm going to tab out edit mode. Then I'm also going to go up here to render setting, or your render settings, and change the render engine to cycles, because that's what we'll be rendering in. So now I'm going to import my nature assets. Now, if you don't have these, then you can just skip the step and just use your own, but it's basically the same. So, if you have this pack, basically the only thing you do to import it is just go to File, Append, and then I believe it's in my, it's either in my desktop or nah, it's my desktop, I think. Oh yeah, right here, and just open the naturepack.blend and just go into Object and hit A to open all these, and then Append from Library. And we can see that we have these now, and I'm just going to move them over here, and then I'm going to delete the camera. So now we have these. And so basically what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to select these and just kind of like move them away from each other a little bit. So I'm going to put the rocks down here. Then I'm going to select this, and these. Move them down here. And also these, move it down here as well. And just gonna move these up so where they're closer to each other. Oops. Okay, so these are basically our things. So if we go into render view, we don't have any lights right now, but yeah, okay. So this is also grass, so I'm just going to move these down here too. So is this. Okay, so basically what you can see we have here are we have rocks, we have grass and ferns and stuff, and then we have flowers and leaves. So the only reason I did that was just so I can separate them into groups easier, which is how we're going to do our particles. So the way we're going to actually get the grass on this terrain is we're going to do a little bit of sculpting first. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so if I go into sculpt mode, and then I just scale this up, or nope, if I scale this up, and then hit control, okay, turn off symmetry lock by going up here and turning off symmetry lock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carve a little dip in the terrain so I can put our river in later that we're going to use. If you don't want a river, you don't have to put a river, but it's pretty cool for the scene. So Here's how we're gonna do that. Okay, so with your sculpt draw brush selected, if you hit Control, you will be able to just create dips in the terrain. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just gonna hollow out a little bit. Doesn't have to be too deep. Just gonna hollow out a little bit and kind of, you know, like make it to where it's like a river bed kind of thing. So I'm just gonna kind of do this. So where we have our riverbed. Okay. So now that we have this, we can tab out and go back into object mode. So now we have this. I'm gonna shade smooth by right clicking and clicking shade smooth. That basically gets rid of all of the like flat edges on it. It makes it look a lot better. So also you might want to smooth this out a little bit by just going into your sculpt and hitting S. You'll be able to smooth it out. So looks a lot better. So now we have this little dip for our river, which is what we want. Originally I did it a really complicated way where I just like selected the vertices here and deleted it, but I'm just stupid, so you know I didn't do this way first. So now what we're gonna do is something called vertex painting and weight painting, actually. And what this is gonna do is this is going to make it to where whatever we paint on here is telling Blender, hey, that's where our particles want to go. So I'm basically just going to paint around the sides and stuff all through here, and make sure you don't get the river, because we don't want things going in the river right now, or we don't want things going in the river where we have them right now. So if I turn off overlays, yeah, I kind of want a little bit more. It's okay if you get them a little bit in the river. Just try not to, because with how deep this river is, grass wouldn't really poke up. I mean, if you have like really long grass, then it might, but for this scene, we're not gonna have that. So just paint on the red. Red is obviously where the most particles are gonna be, and yellow is where some. Green is gonna be a little bit, and just blue is where none is. If I turn off overlays, yeah, we can see that it's pretty close. So we can go out of weight paint mode and go back to object mode, and so now we have everything set up to be able to put our particles in. So the way we're gonna do that is in 2.8. Here's how you do that. So first, I'm gonna set up our grass our grass and kind of weeds and stuff. So here's how I'm gonna do that. Okay, so if I hit B and just box select all these and hit Control G in order to create new collection, I'm just gonna name it grass. So now we have this collection of grass. So now to add it onto our plane as a particle, what we can do is select our plane, and go down here to the particles, click new, and click hair, and so you can kind of see where everything's gonna be. And if we under render as collection, and we go to collection down here, and then change it to grass. Like, what's going on here? What if we grab these again? Control G. Okay. Now we try it. Oh. Okay. I realize what it is. Okay. So we have our thing selected, but just realized. I think this is it. If we go to our vertex groups right here and click density and click group, hopefully. Nope. That is weird. What if I go to object and like, yeah, that works. Collection. Okay. So that kind of works. Okay. Alright, so I'm back. I did a little bit of troubleshooting, but I'm not exactly sure what happened with my collections. But that's weird. I'm not sure what exactly happened. But they work now, and I didn't really do anything except for create a new collection called Eek and Ack. So maybe you'd have to create a new collection. I don't know, but now we can get back to the thing. So if we add a particle system and turn to hair, the exact same thing, render as collection, and then under here, one thing I noticed, it says duplicate collection, which it didn't say on other projects of mine, so that might be why it's like not working. But basically, just select your grass group. Mine's called Eek, and so you can see that this is the grass group that actually works for me. But they're kind of sideways. So how we fix that is just click object rotation, and boom, now they are right set up. But you can see that where we painted on where we want our particles, they're not following that, so they're like in our river. The way to fix that is go down here to vertex groups and density, just turn on group. You can see now that we have our thingy. There are some that are in the river, which is okay. Just as long as there's not like a ton. You won't see them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we're going to add our, well actually, we're going to up these to maybe 3,500. Yeah, 3,500 looks good. We can always change it later. But just about 3,500 particles, and keep the scale where it is. Alright, so now we're going to add a new particle system, and that's going to be our ferns and weeds right over here. So, also on this particle system, turn scale randomness all the way up. Maybe not. Oops. Maybe not all the way up. Maybe something like that. 0.2, maybe. Okay, so now we're going to add our ferns, which is on our early particle system, switch it to hair. And on render, just render as collection, and then duplicate collection minus ack, which you can see. Then I'm just gonna object rotation, so where we have it like that. I'm gonna change the seed, and then I'm going to put our group as the vertex group. So now we can see that we have our ferns and such all throughout here, which is cool. That's what we want. So now we have. Oh, also, I don't think I mentioned this before, but one thing I did was I separated the grass right here from the weeds in my collection, so that's why I just did that. You might not have had to, but you know, whatever works. You know? So now we have this. Now I'm gonna add our sunflowers or our flowers. Okay. So basically, I'm just going to select these and just move them over here. Close this a little bit. I'm also gonna full screen Blender. And so now I'm going to Control G and call these flowers. So these are our flowers, and it's basically the same thing if we add another particle system. change it to hair. Render as collection, and the collection is flowers. And see, that's how it should have worked the first time. For some reason, it didn't. And I think it might have been because I mixed the grass and the weeds. For some reason, I don't know. Then I'm just gonna object rotation. Then I'm going to select our vertex group down here. And our flowers aren't big enough. So flowers aren't big enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to scale. Going to change them up a little bit to where they're bigger than the grass and ferns and stuff. So where they're like this, which is cool. So that's really what we want. I'm also going to turn the grass particles up to maybe 5,000 because we want a lot of grass. Okay, so we have these. And that's what we want right now. So now that we have these, we have our grass and everything set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sculpt our terrain a little bit more. So if you noticed, these sides are flat, which terrain is never flat. Okay, it might look flat, but terrain in the real world is never flat. So what we're gonna do is just select our thingy and go into sculpt mode and hit X to go to our sculpt draw if you're not already in it. And then you could just kind of run over your terrain a little bit like this. And just kind of maybe scale it down a little bit, kind of go like this. Then you can turn off overlays to see your terrain. This, and for this I think it's a little bit too high right now, so I'm just going to S and smooth it down little bit, and F to do that. I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out because I don't want it to be like too jagged or anything. So kind of like this. Don't want it to be too jagged or too flat in some parts, like this part right here. It's like looks unnatural, so I'm just gonna smooth it down. But yeah, this looks pretty good. But scale, smooth this down a little bit. So camera angle is going to be kind of like this. So just going to smooth this out. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. So now we can go back into object mode. I'm going to turn back on my overlays. Alright, so now we have our terrain shape and our particles. One thing that I didn't do before that I'm actually going to do now is our leaves and stuff. So I'm gonna select this and select this. Do Control G and then just add these into a leaves group. Solid. Alright. So we have these. Then I'm just going to what? Okay. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing in hair. Render as collection. Collection is our leaves, and if I go into white paint, alright, so now with our leaves, they're not the right side up, so we're just going to click object rotation again. Does that help it? No, it does not. Huh. I guess we're just going to have to rotate it then. And just change density to the group. So we should have them around somewhere. Maybe? Do we have them? I don't know, but we do have them. Okay, so I'm just gonna change the seed a little bit to maybe like that. Then I'm just going to grab our leaves right here. I'm just gonna rotate them like that. So now if I'm correct, yes, the leaves are that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select our particles and go into our grass. I'm actually going to reduce the number to maybe 2,000. The reason I'm doing that is because we're going to use children. And if we go to interpolated, we can see that we instantly get a ton of children. So if we turn our display amount down to 5, and then we turn our render amount down to maybe 5 too, we have enough grass right here. So that's good. And then for our particle system 2, which was our weeds, I'm going to do the same thing, but display amount I'm going to change to 2. Maybe I can turn it up to 3. Then turn render amount up to 3 too. So we have this like grassy field. Also, it's a good time to save right now, just because intense particles can crash Blender at times. Like you can see right now in my recording, my frames in Blender are not that good. You'd also change display amount down if you don't want to see them in the render, which I'm gonna do actually. So if you turn display amount off, it'll still render the 3 that you had, but it just kind of makes the viewport a little bit faster. I'm gonna do the same but for grass, so it makes it a little bit better. So particle system 3, which is our flowers, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna change it to 3 also, then render amount 3, and then I'm gonna turn display amount off so it's a little bit smoother. Alright, so now we have our particles done, which is cool. That's what we want. So now I'm going to do our river. Now, making water in a scene like this is actually pretty easy. So the way we're going to do that is if we add a plane and just grab it on the green line, and then we just scale it up like this, and scale it this way, like that. We have our thingy, which is what we want. And then I'm also gonna bring it up, kind of like that. So we have it like this. I might bring it down a little bit. Yeah, kind of like that. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the river material. So what we're gonna do that is if we split our window up here and go into shader editor, and then we click new. I'm just gonna change this to river. I know, me naming materials is like, it's amazing, right? So if I delete the principled and add in a glass BSDF and change the surface, the IOR, index of refraction, of glass is around 1.4, 1.5, but the IOR of water is 1.33. So we're going to change the IOR to 1.33 to give it more of a watery look. And just change the roughness, keep it 0. If it's not at 0, put it at 0. And so now if we look at it right now, we just have a glass material, which, when you see a river in a scene like this, it's not stationary. So the way we can give it a look for running is a few ways. So first I'm going to add a noise texture, then I'm going to add a mix shader and put that in between the glass and material output, and then I'm going to add a color ramp, and I'm going to keep the color ramp for later. Then I'm going to add a bump. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to put the color into the height of the bump and normal into the normal of the glass. So if we get, say, a sun lamp up here where we can see it, we can see that it now has this noise on it. And so I put the scale to about 50 and then put the detail all the way up. So it gives us this running water kind of look, which is what we want. You know, we want that. So that gives us that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a diffuse. And I'm going to put the diffuse into the mix shader. Then I'm going to put this color into the FAC of this color ramp. And then I'm going to put this color into the FAC of the mix shader. Then, so if we look now, we can see that we have this. And if we just tighten these up, I believe. Huh? Maybe not. Might have to actually put an HDRI in here for a minute. So, the way we do that is just go in our scene, this little world icon right here, and on color, change it to environment texture by hitting this little dot right here. You're just gonna open, and I have a thingy thing downloaded somewhere. I'm actually probably gonna have to open Chrome to see what HDRI it is. 1 second. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I know where it is. So, I'm going to leave this in the description if you guys want to download it. But, right here. So it's this. I'm pretty sure it's this. Is it? No, it's not. It's the other one. It's the Sierra something reflections. Alright. So we have that. And still can't really see it. I'm gonna rotate this HDRI, but just going up here to world. If I add Shift A, texture coordinate, not an attribute. Texture coordinate. I'm actually gonna turn off rendering. They're going to add a mapping node. And just generate vector, then vector to vector, and then you're back into rendered. If I change the Z rotation to maybe 90, maybe 110. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so if you can see it right here, it kind of has that thingy. Actually, what I'm gonna do is if we go to object, select this, and I duplicate this and then put this in a FAC. Then I change the scale to maybe 25. Yeah, that kind of gives it a more thingy look, I guess. Maybe. Not exactly sure. So, alright. We'll see in the render if that works or not. But, what I'm gonna do is, I'm sorry for the stuffy nose, by the way. I know it's probably gonna be annoying. But, I've been sick, so, sorry. So if we, just change our sun lamp to maybe point over here, kind of like that. So I'm gonna have some like rocks right here that are gonna catch the reflection or the shadow, like right here. So actually, what I'm gonna do, if I turn my GPU and then performance tiles to 56, 6. Maybe that gives me a better. Yeah, that's better. So, can't really see it right now because we don't have the texture under it, but you can kind of see that it has kind of a foamy effect on it, which is what I'm going for. So, that's basically what I'm going to do for there. And for this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this plane. If I do Shift D and then grab it right here and just put it below it, that right there, and we give it a new material. And on our principled, if we Control T, we get our thingy thing, our image texture stuff. If you don't get this, make sure you have Node Wrangler on by going into Preferences, which takes a while to load in 2.8. Then Add-ons, and just look up Node right here, and turn on Node Wrangler, and you'll get it. So now that you have this, what you could do is open in my downloads. I have this thing from textures.com, and if I look at it, oh no, not to delete. We don't want to delete it. If I look, we can see that we have it under it. So actually, what I'm going to do is probably more often than not, yep, the texture is a little bit too big. So the texture is too big, as you can see. We don't need to apply any like fancy bumpery things, because it's just an under texture. You won't see it. If we go into our UV editor and tab, and then we hit A on this, just scale this up a little bit to maybe there. Yeah, seems about right. And maybe scale it down on this. Yeah, seems about right. Then we can tab out of edit mode and just put it back over here. So now, if we look at it, we can see that we have it under this, which is what we want. So now, what I'm going to do is, let me make sure I have this texture already kind of loaded up. Pretty sure I do, but I probably don't. Alright. Okay, I do have it loaded. So, I'm also going to link this texture in the description if you guys want it. But it's basically just like a dirt texture. So if I click new, then Control T again for this thingy, then I open this, then go into my river, then I just have these, and I can just, texture it like I used to do by turning this to non-color data for the other maps. Then normal goes into a normal map, and color goes into color, normal goes into normal, then this goes up, then gloss, and usually you'd have a roughness right here, but since you don't, you're going to want to put an invert node and color into color and color into roughness. So that basically just inverts the gloss into a roughness. So it's basically the same, just the white and blacks are mixed. That's what invert does. Okay, and then we Shift D this one more time, and then our specular, which you don't really need, but it's it's there, so we're gonna use it. So now if we look at it, we can see that it is way too big. So if we go into our UV editor and tab A, just scale this up like a lot. We can see that we now have this texture. which looks decent for this. For this, I'm just going to go into our particles for like grass. Just gonna put our food back on. So how much we have. Looks good, but I might see later which texture I like better. But for now, we're gonna use that texture. You can use any texture. I have another texture I might use, but I don't know. So now that we have this, I'm going to add our rocks into the scene. So if I just grab our rocks over here and then just Shift D and then grab it, just kind of put it over here. So I said earlier that I want my camera angle to be kind of like right here-ish. So that's where I'm going to put it, is my camera like right here. So once you have where you want your camera to be, just hit Control Alt and 0 and it positions the camera. So that's pretty good. Then I'm actually going to take my camera and hit G and move it back a little bit and move it down. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm gonna move it this way, then I'm gonna move it up, then I'm gonna move it over this way, and then just kind of like rotate it, scale it up a little bit till I have it like right here maybe. Then I'm just going to rotate it this way to where it's like that. So where we have this rock right here. So now if we go into our render view, you can see that we have a rock right there, which, you know, it's pretty cool. So now once we have this, I'm actually going to change this texture. I do not like this texture. So the texture that I'm going to use is shader. I'm not going to delete this material since I might want to change it later. But I'm just going to open, I think it is it? Hold on. It's ground 3. Okay. So, that's the texture that I just have over here, laying there. So if I just texture it, just like always, then normal, then Shift A, normal, just color to the color, and then normal to the normal. Then just do the exact same thing you would for any PBR texture. So roughness is right here. The odds are probably, oh, it is mapped pretty nicely actually. Okay, so we have this and it looks pretty cool. And okay, so we have this. Actually, what I'm going to do, what I might do actually is just might take our camera and change our focal length. Just bring this down a little bit to it's like over here maybe, and just bring this right here. Just make sure that looks good. And it does, so that's what we're gonna do with that. So now that we have this, what we can do is just set up our rocks wherever they need to be. So I'm gonna add some along the riverbank over here. So I'm just gonna grab these, Shift D, and bring them over here. Just whoops. How did I go that far? Then just bring them over here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate them maybe like that, basically like that. I'm just gonna grab these and just bring them over and just put them on the riverbank and such. Some ways that look natural. Maybe like that. Then bring this one, Shift D and G, bring it over here. Maybe have this one right here. Like that. You have it like that. Maybe have this middle one be like over here and be a little bit smaller. Maybe like that. Just have them kind of like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, looks pretty cool over there. So we have that. So we have that. Also probably gonna put one in the middle of the river. One like right here in the middle of it. So we have something a little more interesting in the middle of the river to go on. So we have that. And if I look at my original image, I'm also gonna save this. I'm just gonna look at my original render to see if I'm missing anything, because most of the time I am. Yeah, alright. So, immediately realizing I want the camera angle to be like here-ish. If I do this, then if I change my camera, change the focal length to about there, and it's basically how I had it before. Just the river's a little bit bigger than it was before, and that's okay. So now we have this thing going on, which looks cool. Yeah, alright. So we have this. Then I'm just going to grab my rock right here and just move it this way, then this way, then this way. Just put my rock like here maybe. The rock's just like there. Alright. Then I'm going to just have a ton of rocks like over here. Go right here. Scale these up a little bit. Just have like this one right here. Then maybe this one over here. That. I have this one over here. Maybe. Just have him like chilling right here. Cause I don't want this side to feel like it's like completely, like, you know, like gone. Alright, so we have that. Then might add some more rocks actually over here. So like over here ish. right there. So we have that. I'm gonna add a little bit more rocks over here where the camera view is. Let's scale this one up a little bit. I don't want them to be in view of the camera. So I'm just going to spatially position these rocks to where they look good. Let me see if that looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And I can see if all right. So, I actually might shorten this river. Yeah, it's probably what I'm going to do. Shorten the river. Because that seems like very off to me for some reason. So if I just go into sculpt mode. Oops. Sculpt mode. Just bring this. Nope. Wrong brush. I just kind of bring this up. Not that much. Bring this over a little bit more. Maybe something like that. And just smooth it out. Like that. And then on our weight paint, you can just change it up a little bit. Alright. And then we can just unhide our planes. And then I'm just gonna do actually right here, sculpt mode. X right here is a little bit too narrow. Alright, so it looks a lot better. I knew the river was a little bit too wide. Just going to select our rocks and bring them forward. Bring them forward a little bit. Oops. Where we kind of had them over there. So where we can see these right here, where we have a view of the river and stuff. So all this looks pretty cool. All looks pretty cool. So now if I go into our thing and then turn the, just going to do this just so I can see a more accurate representation of how everything is going to look. So right now it looks kind of bare in the viewport. Yeah. So we can see that we have a lot of flowers and stuff. Such. That looks pretty cool. No. Everything looks pretty cool and stuff. So no, I might give them some more children. No, This one's flowers. Yeah, I'm gonna give flowers more. Flowers a lot more actually. Okay. And clumping. Gonna change that a little bit. Okay. Then on our ferns, just going to give it a little bit more too. Just looks a little bit more like a field. See, yeah, we have a lot more like green in it, stuff, which is good. So, yeah, I think this looks a little bit bare. It's like over here. Just gonna shift D this. G. Scale it down a little bit. Rotate it some. Then right there, I'm gonna put some. Then I'm going to shift D and put some rocks over here. A little bit, just make it look a little bit less barren stuff. This is basically what you want to do at this point. You know, just whatever you want to do at this point. It's basically what this is right now. I think over there is lacking a lot. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put a tree there. I might put 2 trees there, but the way we're going to do that is if we go into our preferences, and you don't even have to type anything in. It's right here, add curve, sapling, tree gen. If you just enable that, and if you shift A, and go to curve, and go to sapling, tree gen, you'll get a tree. And this tree that I have right now is, I believe it is Callistemon. Yeah, it's a Callistemon. You can use any of these, but I'm just gonna use this Callistemon. Actually, I might use small maple, or could use a lot of different ones actually. Maybe a small maple. How does that look? You know, it looks pretty cool. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to add a new material. But I also have this texture that I'm going to link in the description below. Say it's a bark texture. So I'm going to use this as the sort of just tree texture. So I want the side to have a little bit more life in it. So, just do the exact same thing that you do before. Oops, wrong. So now we have a tree right there. And if you want, you can, well actually you can't now, but you could enable leaves if you wanted to on that. So, right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sun direction a little bit. To where it's kind of like that. Alright, and then for this, going to you can see that it has the bubbles and stuff, so it's pretty cool. No, might change this up to like 30. So it's pretty cool. You know, it's pretty lit. And I might change the this down to maybe 0.8. Just so we have this scene here. So now that we have this, I still think that it's a little bit bare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a quick test render, and then I'm going to see what could be improved about it. So I'll be back after that. So I just rendered this out at about 30% render frame, and immediately what I noticed is it needs more light, and this over here is really bare and needs more. So I'm just going to fix that really quick by giving the sunlight, which is right here. I'm going to give the sun a 2 emission, and I'm going to change the background back to, well, HDRI back to 1. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my rocks. Just going to control S really quick. I'm going to grab some of my rocks. My viewport is pretty slow right now because of the amount of particles I have. I'm just going to grab my rocks and just kind of work them in some places. Maybe grab this one. Then just kind of put it there, and maybe shift D it, then double click R to rotate it. Just put it like here. Alright, so let's see if that looks better. And it does. And so according to our final, or our test render, it looks pretty cool. So that's basically all I'm going to do for this tutorial. You're welcome to change anything you want. The tutorial is pretty long already. I mean, it's probably one of the longest tutorials that I've done. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to leave a like on it. So thanks guys for watching. And let me just quickly go over the render settings I'm using for this. I'm using about 650 samples. You can up it if you find that there's not enough. I'm using base contrast with filmic view. And I'm running on my GPU with 256 tiles on the X and Y axes. So thanks guys for watching. Oh, also, I forgot to denoise. So you might not need to do that. I'm probably not going to do that, but if you find that there's too much noise, you can denoise. But thanks guys for watching. My name's Viz. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. So, bye.